Hi there, everyone. It's Keith. Um, I keep recording this and going over my time, so I'm going to try to quickly go through this within our 5 minutes. So I'm looking at Brofenbrenner's ecological systems theory and how it applies to my personal life, my professional life, and then also my scholarly goals. I'm going to move my photo real quick here. Okay, so my personal life. Um, my positionality within my personal life has been interesting. I grew up in a pretty white suburb of Columbus, Ohio, with relatively left-leaning parents. They both marched in the civil rights movement in the 1960s, um, with some generational wealth. We were, mid to lower middle class, so not a huge amount of wealth, but I acknowledge that I definitely had some advantages. So from afar, I seem to have a lot of the power in our society as a white male. However, I have three, I guess, I don't know if they're parts of my identity or characteristics that immediately affect my positionality and people's perspective of me. And that is the fact that I'm gay, I'm autistic, and I'm a sexual abuse survivor. So you can see in the news how uncomfortable people are right now with the LGBTQ plus community. So that immediately affects things. Autism, people immediately make assumptions on my capabilities and my mental awareness, I guess. And then as a sexual abuse survivor, people make a lot of assumptions about masculinity because of that. And then also, we are at a point in time where we as a society struggle to listen to sexual abuse survivors. So the overarching macro system right now of American culture is uncomfortable with these three concepts, these three identities that I have. So it's very interesting that on one hand, I have a lot of positionality, but then as I say it or as I come out or whatever, you can see the perception of my positionality change. And then it's also interesting that attitudes have shifted considerably over time. I was born in 1980, which was the start of the AIDS epidemic, during which no one really cared about the LGBTQ plus community. You rarely heard about it, and there was a large percentage of our society that was relatively okay if this disease wiped out the entire community. And so it's interesting that I started there, and then the gay community went through a period of civil rights um, focus for marriage equality. And now we're at a point now where those concepts are again being censored, both in schools, politically, and even legally statewide. So the attitudes of the macro system have swayed back and forth considerably within my lifetime. And this has affected me professionally. On one hand, there's actually been some advantages to being gay. At this time, in my 20s and 30s, it was at the time of the push for same-sex equality, marriage equality rather. And so that gave me opportunities to be politically involved and increased reach and visibility. So I was able to have um, a blog helping gay youth. And I was able to be a co-organizer of the March on Washington in 2010. Nowadays, I'm not sure I could, but back then, it was an advantage of being gay at a time where all this technology and everything was new. However, there's a lot of difficulties, as you can imagine, with being gay as well. So my husband and I got married on a reality show, Whose Wedding Is It Anyway? And we were the first same-sex couple married on basic cable. We did that precisely for the reach and visibility in hopes that whomever out there would see it would take a moment to just think about it, consider it, and to maybe even look at the love that my husband and I have, um, and take it into consideration, I guess. However, on the flip side, the TV producers were not very well versed in the LGBTQ plus community, and as a reward or whatever of doing the show, they gave us a honeymoon to Jamaica, which is amazing, but Jamaica is notoriously anti-gay. And in fact, because we were on that reality show, the Associated Press was at our wedding, and for a brief period, my husband and my wedding photo became kind of the poster for same-sex marriage. And at the time, the head Rastafarian in Jamaica wrote a very impassioned speech about killing gay individuals and used my wedding photo in that speech. And so then we would see footage of people protesting in the streets of Jamaica, burning our wedding video. And then professionally, even as a teacher, my first teaching job was with Lake Oswego School District, and they asked me to create a gay-straight alliance club, which was wonderful. I love that the community, or that the school district wanted to give an outlet for these youth. However, once I created it, they then told me I could have nothing to do with it. I wasn't allowed to teach it. I wasn't allowed to discuss actual gay issues at the time. And the whole reasoning is because there's a belief that gay male teachers are groomers. And so the threat of being accused of grooming was so strong for the school district that they would not actually let a gay individual be involved with the gay-straight alliance. And that leads to a lot of the difficulties that I've been having right now being a gay social studies teacher in modern America. There is certainly a bit of a target on my back, especially because I tend to teach things like queer history classes. I was one of 3 on the West Coast that dared to teach it, and there was a considerable amount of pushback, as you can imagine. So all of this leads to my scholarly goals, which the overarching theme is that I believe we're in the midst of a social studies, social science revolution. If you think of the scientific revolution, ultimately what that boiled down to was science evolved to a point where it started combating and questioning some of the traditional religious rituals and ideas, such as, the Earth being the center of the universe and not revolving around the sun. Well, it's my belief we're at the same point right now, but with social sciences. I believe that science and technology has progressed to the point where our pre-assumed social norms are no longer valid. And I think we are at a interesting point right now where people are struggling with that. And so if you look at my positionality in my life within this theory, it actually makes sense that I would pursue this as a scholarly goal, because I have one foot in the dominant culture as a white male, but on the other hand, I have my foot way out of it in these cultures that our society still doesn't even know what to do with yet. So thank you so much for listening, and